Imagine earning like $100,000 a year.
I mean, by almost any standard, you'd feel pretty set, right?
Exactly. You should feel totally financially invincible. But then, you know, your car makes this weird noise and the mechanic quotes you $400 for a repair.
Oh, and your stomach just drops.
Yes. You find yourself literally hyperventilating because you legitimately don't know if your checking account can actually absorb that hit this week.
It is a terrifying, breathless feeling.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly common, even among really high earners.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We are unpacking this very specific, honestly, incredibly frustrating paradox that so many of you listening are probably dealing with right now.
Yeah, that feeling of just running on a treadmill.
Right. Our mission today is figuring out why you might be making what everyone calls a good salary, 60,000, 80,000, or even deep into the six figures, and yet you still feel completely broke at the end of the month.
And most people just internalize that anxiety. They assume they must just be inherently bad with money.
Or that they're missing some basic adult skill everyone else magically figured out.
Exactly. But the notes and research we've pulled today from Interest Compounded, and they included this really incredible script and a detailed visual storyboard, they tell a completely different story.
Yeah, our goal today is to show you why it's really not just you. We aren't just going to look at the basic arithmetic of where the money goes.
No, the math is just the symptom.
We are going to explore the psychological trap of social comparison and how it is secretly and kind of systematically destroying your financial freedom.
Because that psychological piece, that is the invisible engine driving the entire problem. I mean, it doesn't matter how good you are at math if your own brain is literally working against your wallet.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we can diagnose the psychology of why we overspend, we really have to establish the brutal reality of how the money disappears in the first place.
Right. We have to prove to you that you aren't crazy for feeling squeezed.
Exactly. So let's take a hypothetical $75,000 salary. On paper, society tells us that is a really comfortable, solid living.
Sure. But our brains do this funny thing where we anchor our lifestyle expectations to that gross number, the $75,000.
We mentally spend based on the sticker price of the salary.
Yes, exactly. But the reality is, the money is pouring into a funnel that is just riddled with massive holes before it ever reaches your checking account.
State and federal taxes, right?
Yeah, depending on your tax bracket in your state, 25 or 35% of that income is instantly gone. Just poof.
So that $75,000 dream is actually a take-home reality of roughly, what, $54,000?
Yeah, which leaves you with about $4,500 a month. That's the real starting line.
And that $4,500 is where the modern financial gauntlet truly begins. Because the first massive hurdle is obviously housing.
Oh, housing. Yeah, we've all heard that traditional financial rule of thumb, the one that says you should spend no more than 30% of your income on rent or a mortgage.
Which, if you live in a major city today, sounds like a total joke.
It's hilarious.
Right. Good luck finding a safe apartment for $1,300 in New York or Miami or LA.
It's largely a myth in the modern economy. The data in the sources shows that people are routinely spending 40, sometimes even 50% of their take-home pay just to keep a roof over their heads.
Half their income just gone.
The real estate market has just outpaced wages so much that housing takes a completely disproportionate bite out of your net income.
So housing eats half the pie immediately. Then we look at transportation. And I find the behavioral economics around cars so fascinating because the auto industry has essentially weaponized our inability to calculate long-term costs.
Oh, absolutely. Dealerships don't even sell you a car anymore. They sell you a monthly payment.
Right. They bypass your rational calculating brain by just hiding the total cost of ownership entirely.
You see this cute, reliable, compact car. The dealer says it's just $400 a month, and you think, okay, yeah, I have $400 in my budget.
But you are completely ignoring the orbiting costs that are permanently attached to that vehicle.
Right, when you factor in the insurance premiums, the routine maintenance, gas, parking fees.
I forget depreciation.
Exactly. That quote-unquote cheap $400 a month car is actually draining $700 to $900 from your wealth every single month.
Okay, so let's pause and look at the actual math here.
Right.
We started with $4,500. We paid for a modest apartment in a modern city, which took $2,000.
Mm-hmm.
We paid the true all-in cost of a basic car, which took another $800. We are down to $1,700.
Yep.
And we haven't bought a single grocery, we haven't paid for a phone plan, or even turned on the electricity.
And we also haven't touched debt payments. I mean, the average person is juggling student loans, maybe a credit card balance, and increasingly those buy now, pay later microloans.
Oh, those are everywhere now. They're embedded into almost every online checkout process.
It's so dangerous. So by the time you subtract those basic living expenses and your minimum debt obligations, an average earner making $75,000 a year might only have $400 left in free cash flow at the end of the month.
Wow. $400.
Yeah.
There was this powerful visual metaphor from the storyboard in Interest Compounded that really stuck with me.
The pizza one.
Yes. Think of your paycheck like a giant, delicious pizza. But before you even get to pull up a chair to the table, almost every single slice has been claimed.
Right. The government took 3 slices. The landlord took 3.
The bank and the car dealership took the rest. By the time it's your turn, you are left with this tiny, paper-thin sliver.
It leaves people feeling so demoralized. You work 40, 50 hours a week for a tiny sliver of pizza.
Which really brings us to the core of this deep dive. If we're working so incredibly hard just to be left with practically nothing, what invisible force is pushing us to sign these massive leases and buy these financed cars in the first place?
Why do we voluntarily give all our pizza away?
Exactly. What is making us do this?
What's fascinating here is that the root cause isn't financial at all. It's evolutionary.
Evolutionary, like survival of the fittest.
Yeah, we are literally hardwired for social comparison. Psychologists call it social comparison theory, and it's basically the modern version of a deeply ingrained survival mechanism.
So what our grandparents called keeping up with the Joneses.
Exactly. Thousands of years ago, if you didn't fit in with your tribe or if you fell to the bottom of the social hierarchy, you were cast out and you died.
Oh, wow. So it was literal life or death.
Literally. Our
Right.
brains evolved to constantly, subconsciously scan our environment to see where we rank compared to everyone else.
But today, the tribe isn't just a village of 50 people.
No, it's millions of people broadcasting their lives on the internet.
So when my coworker pulls into the parking lot with a brand new gleaming SUV, my brain doesn't just say, oh, nice vehicle for them.
Right? Your primitive brain triggers a literal alarm that says, my car is old, my status is dropping, I'm falling behind.
That is wild.
Or, you're sitting on your secondhand couch, scrolling through Instagram, and you see a friend's curated photos from an idyllic beach vacation in Greece.
And your brain immediately files your own mundane Tuesday evening under the category of failing.
Exactly. You feel like you're losing the game.
But wait, aren't we essentially judging our own unedited, behind-the-scenes reality against someone else's highly financed highlight reel?
Yes.
Because that seems incredibly dangerous.
It's incredibly dangerous because it creates a completely false baseline for what normal spending actually looks like.
Right.
You start making financial decisions to match a lifestyle that doesn't actually exist in the way you think it does.
Yeah.
The people you are desperately comparing yourself to, the ones who seem to have the amazing cars, the frequent vacations, the perfect wardrobes,
Let me guess, they might be completely broke too.
they are completely broke. The average American carries over $6,000 in revolving credit card debt,
So they just have a higher credit limit.
basically. The storyboard had this amazing visual for this. Think of their lifestyle like a theatrical prop on a Hollywood set.
Okay.
From the front, it looks like a luxurious, towering mansion. It's intimidating, it's impressive. But if you walk around to the back, you realize it's just a flat piece of cardboard held up by 2x4s.
And they are actually living in a cramped, stressful reality right behind it.
Yes. We are going broke, trying to keep up with people who are also going broke.
That is such a wild paradigm shift. We are draining our own bank accounts, going into real, terrifying debt just to keep up with people who are faking it on credit.
Yeah, it's a race to the bottom where everyone is just pretending they're winning.
And this false baseline has to be the trigger for lifestyle inflation, right? Because I want to dig into this. Lifestyle inflation feels like a treadmill where someone else is secretly turning up the speed.
That's the perfect way to describe it. It's the silent killer of wealth.
Because we're subconsciously trying to match this cardboard mansion lifestyle of our peers, the absolute second we get a little more money, we immediately inflate our spending to absorb it.
Oh, instantly. Say you get that promotion you've been working years for. You go from a $55,000 salary to $90,000.
Huge jump. You think, finally, I have breathing room. Finally, I can build some wealth.
But the social comparison alarm rings.
Immediately.
Yep. Within 2 weeks, you justify upgrading your apartment because, well, you're a manager now.
You trade in your paid-off car for something that reflects your new status.
You stop cooking as much and start ordering premium takeout. And suddenly, your $90,000 salary feels mathematically identical to your old $55,000 salary.
The stress is exactly the same.
Exactly the same, because you just expanded your expenses to perfectly consume your new income.
And it's not always the massive purchases like cars and apartments that get us. Is it? The
Right.
source material spends a lot of time on what they call the death by a thousand cuts.
The small stuff, yeah. It doesn't feel like much until it's added up. Our brains are terrible at calculating annual costs.
Like a $6 daily coffee.
Right, a $6 coffee every workday doesn't trigger any financial alarms in your head. It's just $6.
But over a year, that is $1,500 leaked from your wealth.
And then you have the subscription trap. I mean, the modern economy is built on capturing your credit card and relying on your inertia so you never cancel.
Oh, tell me about it. Most people probably have 10 or 12 forgotten streaming services, app subscriptions, or digital memberships averaging $15 a month each.
Which is over $2,100 a year. Just gone.
Then add the convenience tax of daily takeout lunches, say $12 to $15 a day because you didn't pack a lunch.
Over a year, that adds up to over $3,000.
So between the coffee, the forgotten subscriptions, and the takeout lunches, you are bleeding over $6,500 a year.
On things that don't even meaningfully improve your life. They just become background noise.
And here is where the concept of opportunity cost comes in, which is what really hurts to look at.
It's painful.
Because that $6,500 isn't just money spent. It is a financial seed that you actively chose not to plant.
Exactly.
The math in the source showed that if you took that same $6,500 a year and invested it in a standard index fund at a modest 8% return over 20 years,
That daily coffee and Netflix habit would have grown into over $30,000 of real compounding wealth.
here's where it gets really interesting. I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go for it.
Is this the part of the deep dive where we just yell at the listener? Are we going to do the cliche personal finance routine where we tell everyone they have to stop buying lattes, never eat at a restaurant, and live in total misery if they ever want to retire?
Oh, I'm so glad you pushed back on that.
Because that advice has been given for decades, and it clearly doesn't work. It just makes people feel guilty.
No, absolutely not. The storyboard actually had a giant red X through the whole coffee ban idea. We're not telling you to stop buying coffee.
Wait, really? But the math says those things are draining the account.
The problem isn't the latte itself. The problem isn't the takeout. The problem is the order in which we manage our money. The sequence is fundamentally flawed.
Explain that. What do you mean by the order?
Well, look at the default system most people use. They get paid, they earn. Then they immediately spend on their lifestyle, paying the landlord, paying the car note, buying the coffees.
Subconsciously trying to keep up with social comparison.
Right. Then, at the very end of the month, they just hope something is left over. And if there is, maybe they save it.
The earn, spend, hope, save model.
Yes. The sources describe it as trying to carry water in a bucket full of holes. You are relying purely on willpower to plug the leaks.
And willpower is a finite resource.
Exactly. When you are bombarded by targeted advertising, social media influencers, and peer pressure all day, your willpower will always eventually fail.
So how do people who actually build wealth sequence their money?
They flip the entire model on its head.
Yeah.
They earn. Then they save and invest first. And then they live on whatever is left.
Ah, the concept of paying yourself first.
It is the single most important paradigm shift in personal finance. Before the landlord gets paid, before the credit card company gets paid, and long before the coffee shop gets paid, you pay your future self.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, paying yourself first isn't just a math trick. It's actually a psychological defense mechanism against social comparison, isn't it?
Precisely. And the secret weapon that makes it work is automation.
Right.
You cannot rely on yourself to manually log into your bank and transfer money to savings every 2 weeks. You will find a reason not to do it.
Oh, I need new tires this month. I'll skip the transfer.
Exactly. You have to set up the system so that the money moves automatically while you sleep. The storyboard visualized this as a helpful little robot arm moving coins before you even wake up.
Which means when you look at your checking account on payday, the money simply isn't there to spend.
You completely remove willpower from the equation.
You don't have to fight the sudden urge to buy the flashy shoes you just saw on a friend's Instagram because the money designated for your future was already locked away before you even saw the post.
It creates artificial scarcity. You force yourself to live on less, but you do it effortlessly.
So we've diagnosed the brutal math of the modern paycheck. We've exposed the psychological trap of keeping up with a society that is secretly broke on credit. And we've established that paying yourself first through automation is the cure.
Yep, that's the theory.
Now, we have to talk about implementation. How does a listener actually structure this in their own life today?
The best starting framework provided in our sources is the 50-30-20 rule. It's a way to categorize your take-home pay so that every dollar has a specific job.
Let's break down the mechanics of those categories.
Okay, so the first category is 50% of your net income, and this goes strictly to your needs.
Needs. Got it.
This is your housing, your basic groceries, your essential utilities, your transportation to get to work, and the minimum payments on any existing debt.
Now, I have to stop you here because this is where a lot of people throw their hands up.
I know, it's tough.
Earlier, we established that rent alone can be 40 or 50% of take-home pay. If someone sits down and realizes their needs are taking up 80% of their paycheck, how do they fix that?
That is the hardest, most painful part of this entire process. But it is the most critical. If your needs exceed 50%, you are mathematically suffocating.
No amount of skipping lattes will save you.
Right. You have to attack the massive structural expenses. That might mean making the uncomfortable choice to get a roommate.
Or moving.
Yeah, it might mean selling the finance car and buying a reliable beater with cash, or moving to a slightly less trendy neighborhood.
Those are incredibly tough, emotionally heavy choices.
They are. But the alternative is being financially stressed for the rest of your life. You have to right-size the structural foundation first.
Okay, assuming the listener does the hard work to cap their needs at 50%, what is the next category?
The next category is 30%, and this goes to your wants. This is dining out, going to concerts, traveling, hobbies, upgrading your phone.
I really want to emphasize this because this is where the system becomes sustainable. Allowing 30% of your income purely for guilt-free enjoyment is the exact opposite of a prison sentence budget.
It's about intentionality. The sources make this so clear. This is not where you have to suffer. If you love expensive craft coffee, buy it.
Just do it intentionally.
Right. Do it intentionally out of this 10% allocation, rather than mindlessly tapping your card and wondering where your money went. When you plan for the fun doesn't derail your future.
Which leaves the final, most important category.
The 20%. This goes to savings and investments.
The wealth builder.
Exactly. Building your emergency fund, contributing to your retirement accounts, investing in index funds. The storyboard visualized this slice as a growing tree.
Because this is the slice of the pizza that actually changes your life in 10 or 20 years.
Yes. It won't feel like much in month one, or even year one, but over a decade or two, the compound interest on that automated 20% is what buys your freedom.
It's what allows you to eventually stop trading your time for money.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, right now? How do you take this from theory to reality today? Our sources suggest 3 highly actionable steps to execute this week.
Step 1, audit your subscriptions.
Oh, the inertia tax.
Yes. Sit down with your last bank statement, write out every single recurring charge, and ruthlessly cancel anything you haven't actively used in the last 30 days.
Just rip the Band-Aid off. Okay, step 2.
Set up one automated transfer to a savings or investment account, even if you can't hit the 20% mark yet.
Even if it's just $50.
Even if it is just $50 a paycheck.
Whoa.
Go into your banking app today and automate it so it happens the day after you get paid. Put that robot assistant to work before you can spend it.
Love that. And step 3, which might be the most revealing.
Track your spending for exactly 7 days. Just 1 week. Write down every single dollar that leaves your possession.
But the key here is to do it completely without judgment, right?
Yes, absolutely. You aren't doing this to shame yourself about your habits. You are acting as a detective, simply trying to uncover the absolute truth of where the money is flowing.
Because knowing the truth is the only way you can start to change it.
Exactly.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I think it's crucial to return to the core empowerment message of all this research. If you are struggling, you are not uniquely flawed. You aren't broke because you don't earn enough money or because you are a bad person.
You're broke because the modern financial system is incredibly confusing, highly optimized to extract your wealth, and honestly, nobody ever sat down and showed you how the mechanics actually work.
The entire consumer economy is designed to keep you trapped in that relentless cycle of earning, spending, and hoping.
But once you realize you're in a maze, you can map the exit. You take back control by automating your future and being intentional with the present.
This raises an interesting point, though. You know, a final provocative thought I think we should leave everyone with.
Yeah, let's hear it.
We established that social comparison is an evolutionary hardwiring in our brains. We can't just surgically remove our desire to see how we stack up against our peers.
Right, it's fundamental human nature. Impossible to turn off entirely.
So, since you cannot turn off the urge to compare, what would happen if you consciously changed who you compare yourself to?
Oh, wow. What do you mean?
What if, instead of comparing your life to the highly visible, flashy, debt-fueled consumption of your coworkers and those curated social media feeds, you started comparing yourself to the invisible, quiet behaviors of actual wealth builders?
That completely changes the metric of success.
Right. What if your new baseline for status was the person who just set up an automatic $50 savings transfer today?
Or envying the person who had the discipline to cancel their unused subscriptions.
Exactly. What if true status wasn't driving a leased luxury car, but having a fully funded 6-month emergency account that lets you sleep peacefully at night?
That flips the entire script. We started this conversation talking about how a paycheck can feel like a mathematical mirage, an illusion, where a great salary just vanishes into thin air.
But it turns out the math was never broken. The real illusion was the cardboard mansion of everyone else's spending that tricked you into giving your own financial security away.
And once you stop looking at the cardboard prop and start automating your own foundation, the math finally starts working for you.
And that quiet, automated discipline is how you build real, lasting freedom.
Well said.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Keep questioning the baseline, automate your future, and we'll catch you on the next one.